Hey, Kara.
Hi.
This is funny. We just totally shifted. Here's what's happening, you guys. I asked
Behind the
Kara,
scenes.
Kara and I are friends. We met, we probably already told people this. This is friends, meet Kara
Hmm.
Riska.
Oh, that's
Kara
funny.
is a friend of my little and my sorority. And Jenna, that friend, said, "You need to meet Kara," who was a local friend to her at the time. Jenna has since moved away from
Hmm.
Kara. Um, and Jenna brought us together, and now we have this lifelong friendship, right?
Yeah, it was like this intersection of like I don't know how well, I guess it's the internet and like social media, but she figured out well, we were both very early in our businesses at that time, right? So
Yes.
you were just starting out, I was just starting out, and she connected us and we've been friends since. And I call you desperate when I need unlegal legal advice. And all
Exactly.
the
That's a
things.
good way to
So,
put it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I said to Kara, "Hey, we need to do a podcast episode." And I sent her a topic and we just spent 10 minutes looking for it, and neither of us can find it. Kara has a migraine. I have lice, and I actually have a sinus infection too. I'm like trying to hide it. I don't know why. And so we started talking, and then like we threw that idea out the window because we don't know what it is. And here's what we're going to do. So now we've decided to publish this on both of our platforms, and we're going to kind of flip the script here. So we were talking about how I'm kind of in this season of life that is stressful. Um, so with protecting confidentiality kind of across the board, what I am comfortable saying is I am in a position, all of us are healthy, and our family relationships are healthy. Like, don't think about any of the what ifs, probably are not what you're thinking of. Um, but I am in a situation where I am experiencing stress that I haven't experienced in a very, very long time, as it relates to Jack's schooling. And then, we have a lot of other changes, right? So Griffin just went to college, and that's a stressful situation. And then all the circumstances that surround that are stressful. Like it's more expensive, and we're traveling, which is a different kind of stress, traveling to go see him. We don't know, he's swimming, and we don't know all the routines of the swimming. And so that's, not like the most stressful situation in the world, but it compounds it. So we've got this stress that's happening with Jack School, and then we've got some additional changes. Um, Yet I feel the most grounded and healthy that I've ever felt. And so I started to tell Kara that just because we're friends, and Kara was like, "Let's talk about that on the podcast." So we're kind of flipping the script, and Kara's going to kind of walk me through that because Kara is so good at what she does. So maybe we should start, Kara, with just for my audience, a little introduction about what you do, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And yeah, so this will be a casual conversation, much like she and I are just visiting, maybe with a little bit more intention behind it. So
I
who am
love
I?
it.
I'm Kara. I live in San Diego, California. I have four amazing children, ages 18. Okay, so let's start over there. 18. I was like, where are we starting? Beginning or end? 18, 16, 13. Those are all my boys. And then my daughter is 8. And my journey as a mother took a drastic turn when my 16-year-old was 2. And that was also when he was diagnosed with his first brain tumor. So he has many acquired disabilities as a result of his journey with brain cancer. He experienced recurrence, so a whole nother round of treatment um, back in 2021. So that was right behind COVID. So a little 1-2 punch there for our family. So I think, like so many families that have children with any type of disability, there are many, many stressful seasons. And so I think that's why the topic that you brought up today really like intrigued me. Like, let's talk more about that because my personal journey has been, how do I cope with all this? I came into motherhood pretty young. and fortunately had not had significant challenges. Everyone has challenges in life, but I didn't have anything that really required me to dig deep to the level that I needed to the moment my son got diagnosed with brain cancer. And so that's when my journey started in terms of figuring out who I am, really figuring out my faith, because I am Christian. I'm a professing Christian. And when you watch your child go through what I've watched my child go through, it does have you question a lot of things about faith and belief in God and all of those things. So it had me start on this journey. And for me, part of that was becoming trained or becoming a life coach and getting trained as a coach. And so that was, it's so funny looking back at all the little steps I took to get there. Cause now I look back, I'm like, well, that's kind of audacious to sign up, be like, I'm going to be a life coach. And still, my friends and I, who are life coaches, we still make fun of the title because it does sound a little like, oh, you got it figured out, do you? No, it's not about having it figured out. It's about like, so life coaching, just FYI, is about, well, it's about relationship, and being in relationship with somebody, that holds a safe, non-judgmental space for you to, um, explore your own growth and your own development and, declare what you want and have a partner in figuring out what's in the way and how to get it out of your way to go fulfill that. So naturally, when we talk about this topic of high stress and you feeling really good, I think I'm like, let's talk about that because that's, I think, the journey that I hope most of us are on. Um, and it's a journey that I see mothers significantly struggling with, particularly because the messaging around mothering in in kind of, if I'm going to generalize it, is incompatible with taking excellent care of oneself.
Yeah.
And so we have a little issue here, right? Where we as mothers, so some of us, I know Jack doesn't have as much medical, but I know you work with a cross section of people and disabilities, and I joke with people poorly, um, about my my son's disabilities. I feel like kind of we have a little part in most buckets in terms of
Yep.
the areas that he has, disability related conditions. And so where was I going with that? So okay, where I was going is, we have where was I going with that? Was I was going to talk about the medical, what,
The
refresh me.
the maybe the multiple layers of stress and
Okay. Yes. So yeah, so we're in some cases quite literally keeping our children alive.
Mhm.
In other cases where there's maybe more behavioral events, that is equally threatening to our nervous systems when our children are behaving in ways that is, um, for lack of better words, unacceptable in society. I have a child who has behaviors like that. So I don't tell everybody my stories. I don't tell all of them
Same
on the
same girl,
podcast.
same.
But I do tell people who ask privately because I think it is important to talk about them. It's a delicate line on like preserving our children's, privacy,
Yeah.
but also, being, being somebody, who one can connect with and saying, "Oh, wow, they understand what I'm experiencing." So,
Well, and
what I was
normalizing it too. Like, I don't want
precisely.
anybody to think same thing as like the life coach thing. I don't want anybody to look at what I put online and think like, "Oh, they've got it all together," right? Like something that I uh, struggle with, well, I used to struggle with and now I've just kind of let go is I'm also like older than a lot of online, what do you call us? Like
Mhm.
I'm not an influencer.
Influencers.
Yeah, but I'm
Well,
not an
content
influencer.
creator and,
Content
like a
creators,
yeah.
that's it. Um, and so I don't do, like, the aesthetic thing. Like, right now, I couldn't care less. We just switched my office for the 4th time since I sold my office building, and behind me is, like, the frame to a television that eventually we'll take down. I couldn't care less that that's in this video. It's just
Mhm.
kinda the way it is, and I'm about to lean over to plug something in, and I couldn't care less about that either.
And see,
Um
I was like, "Look at your cute little bird mug behind you." I was focusing on that.
Oh, that's the
Uh,
mascot to our high school, a bluebird.
oh,
Isn't that
that's
fun?
very cute. Yeah.
And so but, you know, I mean, I do think a lot of it is about letting go. Um, and my experience is that so I agree. I don't like to share too much about Jack's experience or our experience, to be fair to mostly Jack, but also to the other people, right? Like if we have a bad experience with a
Mhm, mhm.
doctor or education professional or something like that, like I don't want that to be public. I don't think that's respectful. But I also don't want people to look at what we put out there and be like, oh, he must have the best IEP or he must get amazing supports or whatever. Because I think that a really important message is it's never perfect. And what is perfect anyway, right? And so like I agree with you, Kara, that we want to be true to the process, but we also have to be respectful to the people. And it's really
Yeah,
hard.
totally hard. So what makes it easier is, well, on my podcast, I also should mention that I host a podcast called the Special Needs Mom Podcast. And we solely focus for this reason on, I solely focus on moms. I do not dip my toes into bringing on professionals that are helping our children. I think that's what obviously so necessary, and it's not my lane. And so it does make it a little easier for me because when I have guests on my show, or I guess this will be airing on my show, we're focusing on our experience as mothers. And so we can speak to that experience regardless of what happened. So there was an event that happened in our life this fall. Um, it was a pretty big one. And think I shared with you offline, but it involved let's just say it involved having to take on a construction project and an insurance claim. It
Yes.
also involved a very scary situation for myself. For my body was in a very scary situation. And and so I can speak to the experience that I had without sharing the details of what happened with my child.
Right.
And so I think that that's where it's not just like, oh, nice to be able to share our stories. It is imperative that we share and connect because that is how us human beings, especially women, I don't know that I can say professionally that it's different for men and women, but I work with women and I know that when women connect,
Mhm.
they like all these things happen. I won't even go into them all, but it's all good things.
Yeah.
Good things. And so let's talk a little bit more about so you're experiencing, I think, the impact of years of intention of well-being. And so let's kind of maybe break it down by starting at the beginning and just let's take a look at the things that you do and the things that you don't do. Not to say, oh, this is the recipe for success, do just like this.
Right.
But I think my hope is that it will be perhaps spark some creative like thoughts for other people of like, oh, okay, well, she did that. That works for her life. What might I do? How might I relate to my situation with the same intention that you did?
Yeah.
So, how's that sound?
I like it. Let's do
Okay.
it.
So, let's just go back. Let's pretend like it's 2 years ago. Um, at that time, you made some changes. Do you remember what they were? Ish. We're not going for exact here.
Yeah, so, like, well, it's always been, okay, so go back a little bit further and, a little bit of background, is that when I was, 15 years old, I was in a gasoline explosion that fractured 4 vertebrae in my back. So I have chronic pain, and there's a psychology with chronic pain. Um, for example, one thing that's really weird is if you get sick, or if you, like, stub your toe or hurt yourself, then it's really hard. It's oftentimes hard, but it's oftentimes really hard to not think about the worst case scenario because you're living the worst case scenario, right? Like, I got hurt when I was
Mhm.
15, I hurt every day, and so if I stub my toe, it's hard not to be like, "Oh, that's definitely turf toe. Joe Burrow's out for 6 months. I'm gonna be out for 6 months," like, or my toe might have to get amputated. Like, it's I mean, it's easy to make fun of myself for that, but, like, I have to
It's
constantly
real when
tell
you're
my inner
experiencing
being,
it.
like,
Yeah.
calm the heck down, right?
Yeah.
Then, um, I also was born with generalized anxiety. the kind, I always say it's like the kind that fuels me, the kind that like gets you going, and I can like really get into a writing project or really get into something. I can pay bills until 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes because I'm like, go, go, go. But that's also kind of fuels the American culture of like busy means good and moms have to overachieve and all of those things that Brene Brown and Martha Beck talk about. Um, we like these badges of honor of like, I get shit done, um, which, is a badge of honor that I wear because I am an
Mhm.
accomplished person. But it doesn't mean that you have to burn yourself out and that you have to just work until you are just absolutely bone tired. Um, and and then when I got hurt, excuse me, when I got hurt, I also got PTSD, and because of the way that I kind of treated after I got hurt or the way that, life went on, um, I my PTSD didn't go away. So I startle very easily. If I get scared, like if somebody knocks on a window or something and I'm not expecting it, it'll wreck my entire day because my adrenal system just doesn't know what to do. Later on as a grown up, I was diagnosed with ADHD because we tested my adrenals and found out I basically, my body makes no adrenal hormone, very, very, very little adrenal hormone. And so, like, the get up and go that I experienced was all basically like generated by my mind and soul. Because
Mhm.
my body chemically wasn't making it. And so I was really like working hard to be
Yeah.
me, which was really hard. So, um, then 2 years ago, like, to address the question that you asked, 2 years ago, I was kind of I was pretty far into this health journey where I was experiencing a lot of, symptoms of burnout, right? So, incredible fatigue, like first trimester of pregnancy fatigue, um, or like COVID kind of fatigue. I think those things are relatable to our
Mhm.
audiences. I had like crazy brain fog where I would find myself looking at the computer screen, like pay attention, like with my eyeballs even weird. Or I would be driving and look in my rearview mirror and be like, you look crazy. Where I just like was not thinking. Or even the kind of brain fog where I couldn't come up with a word, or I would
Mhm.
this is super relatable to our audiences, find my coffee in the pantry where I thought I was, like, warming it up in the microwave. Um, and, then I gained a bunch of weight. I gained 40 pounds in 2 years. I, it was experiencing more irritability than normal, like, mood swings, but, like, just I was really uncomfortable with how uncomfortable I was. Oh, the
Mhm.
dog's gonna bark. Um, and, um, and then I've got this, like, itchiness that happens, which I told you we figured out I have histamine intolerance. So things like that were happening where I'm like, "This is not normal. I am not well." So I started seeing an integrative doctor, a functional medicine doctor, and we started testing everything. So, prior to that, I had gone to a bunch of different doctors. Like I've gone to an endocrinologist, I've gone to a rheumatologist. I have a autoimmune condition also. My GP, and then I got a new GP, and everybody's like, "Well, we'll test all of this," and then they'd be like, "Nah, ferritin's normal. Your whatever's normal. It must be stress." So every place I
Okay, but
went,
pause for a second.
yeah.
What's screaming at me is the question of couldn't it be symptoms of perimenopause? This all sounds
Mhm.
pretty similar to I don't want to say what I hear out there, but also what I experience inside my own body. How do we know that it's not partly involved?
Yeah. Well, I almost took off my sweater a minute ago because I was having such an extreme hot flash.
So
I want
it is a factor.
you can see like the after effects of it in my cheeks. Yesterday, I had my husband put his hand like inside my ponytail. I was like, feel how hot my head is right now. Like it was, I'm still at the phase of hot flashes where they're like the ones during the day are entertaining. The ones at night are just like
Mhm.
so, so debilitating. So you just don't sleep. But yeah, I mean, also perimenopause, right? So, um, I went to the integrative doctor and she tested all of my hormones. That's when we found out that my adrenals
Mhm.
are low.
Mhm.
But oh, and also I've had an ablation. So whenever they asked about perimenopause, I'm like, I don't know if I'm slowing down or becoming irregular because I don't
Yes.
have a period.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, like, but that's a big question that I've had. My thyroid, my all of my systems. So, but yes, now I am definitely perimenopausal or menopausal. Like it's happening. Um, so the integrative doctor basically was like, you really have to address stress. So we found things, we found
Mm.
medical things. And
Yes.
then she
Okay.
was like, and stress and caffeine and this and that are happening. So for about 2 years into seeing her, I thought I was being deliberate about my stress management because I couldn't change my lifestyle, right? Like
Well,
I
yeah.
couldn't.
Okay. So stop here for a second because I think where most people check out when they hear that you really have to address your stress is they say, well, sucks for me because I can't do that. And
That's where
so,
I was. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so, okay, so, and I think that also, so here I'll emphasize and then I'll have you elaborate on it because I'm thinking this is where you're going, is that when doctors say you really have to address stress, what they're not saying is that you have to change your whole life as in get rid of all your children and job and husband and house
And
and
extra
economy
chromosomes.
and extra chrome. Yeah. Skedaddle to you. They're not saying that you have to do that. They're saying that you have to change the way that you're relating to it. You have to change the way
Yeah.
that you're supporting yourself, given that this is your life. And so I think that that's the, I don't know why most of us interpret it the latter, the former way. But good news is that you are not a unicorn and you are not the only, and so all of us, this is speaking to all of us, you also have an opportunity to address your stress, even if you have an extraordinarily hard circumstance. So continue on. So you heard this from the doctor. You have to address your stress. And then what?
You always say the most wise things because it took me 2 years to figure that out. I'm so type A that I was like, okay, yoga and meditation. And I don't know why the dog's going crazy. I'm sorry, listeners. It's already bad audio because perfectly imperfect. I didn't grab a microphone or AirPods. Um, so, I like lined up all the things that the internet and the doctor said would relieve my stress, right?
Yes,
And then I was like, I'm going to do this.
okay, wait, pause right there. That is the best. I love you so much.
Tell me what
Okay.
I did.
So this is a little coachy saying. How we do one thing is how we do everything. And so the
Totally.
same Ashley Barlow, who was generating a life that was so full of stress, her body was yelling at her. The
Mhm.
same way of being also attacked her stress.
Yeah.
And so continue on,
Yeah.
continue on.
Like seriously, like ATTACK, the blue team is that's what I did in my stress.
It's so great. I love the passion behind it. I mean,
Oh,
we can't help but just like love that you attacked it with that level of
totally.
ferocity. Keep going.
I'm like, I am never gonna miss a day of this vitamin. I am gonna go to yoga 3 times a week. And not only that, but that's $100 a month. And so here's how I'm gonna generate that $100 a month because heavens knows that's important. Like you can't like I couldn't just find that. And you know, all of the things, like I made a plan. And it's hilarious as it is, I even knew like your interjection. My cousin was like, oh, and this is how we all are in my family. She was like, you should figure it out. And then you should do a TED talk on it. And then we should develop a multi-billion-dollar industry teaching stressed out people how to not be stressed out. And like she did this like whole, snowball thing. And so I knew that that's what I was doing, but I really did feel like that's all I could do.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and the secret is, and this is with not a whole lot of retrospect because I feel like I'm in a really good place right now, but it's surprising me. Um, so the one big change that I did make was okay. So the pandemic happened, and Jack, my son, who's Down syndrome, who has Down syndrome, um, he had like a major health thing
Mhm.
also. So, I think your statement, Jack doesn't have a ton of medical stuff, is true. But Jack has a volume of like mild to moderate
Mhm.
medical things that is like if it's common with Down syndrome, he's got it, right? Like he's hearing impaired, he wears glasses, he has endocrine, he's got Hashimoto's thyroiditis, he has severe sleep apnea, he has any kind of ENT problem that you can have. We see immunology, all the things. And on March 10th, 2020, he started with a fever that lasted 9 months, and inflammation and rashes and irritability and all of these things. And nobody will tell us what it is. Friends colloquially have said, yeah, that's juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Cincinnati Children's will not say that. So we ended up at 9 clinics,
Mm.
starting off at oncology, which is, Kara, is just not where
Mm.
you want to be in really colloquial terms, and really stressful. And we also had to keep him home for 9 months for 18 months during the beginning of the pandemic because he was super neutropenic, had no immunity, blah, blah, blah. So we had 2 parents that I was at that time working 75 hours a week as I'm a special education attorney. I also do estate plans. But at that time, I was still representing several small and medium-sized businesses and doing a lot of divorce and family law work, which is stressful for many reasons, and also very rewarding.
Mhm.
So I was working 75 hours a week, educating Jack full time, getting him to and from school. He went for like an hour and 15 minutes just for his special education minutes, around my schedule, working until midnight to try to figure stuff out, um, all of the things. Oh, my other son he's now a college swimmer. So I was driving him to and from practice because we weren't allowed to have a carpool. I mean, I don't know how I did it, but suffice it to say that it just totally fried me, right? So, um, I I like to say the pandemic wrecked me.
Mhm.
And so a big life change that I made was I said no more divorce work, and I'm selling my office building. There was a lot more to that decision, but that's where we'll leave it for now. Um, so I came home, I sold my office building, moved my practice home, and no more divorce work. That kind of set the tone, Kira, for I think what my big aha was, and it's about giving yourself permission.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I gave myself permission to chill the heck out and
Mhm.
to get rid of that, like, um, tie in to the busy culture.
Mm.
I gave myself permission to make less money, to work fewer hours, to be still. And I'm not being still for me does not mean sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. It means quilting
Mhm.
or I got a couple magazine subscriptions. Um or even like stopping to dust my house at 11 o'clock in the morning. Um I'm still I'm still not very good at being still, but I'm very good at being mindful. And I find that I'm more mindful if I'm moving. I realize I still need to work on that. Um, but it really was about like this what you are doing between your waking hours is wrecking you. And even though you're trying to be very deliberate about mindfulness, because I still was being
Yeah.
deliberate about like if I set my mind to something, I'm doing it. Um,
Mhm.
but it was about giving myself permission to let stuff go. And I'll give you like the craziest example that I thought of the other night in the middle of the night. Um, you know how you lose hair rubber bands?
Mhm.
So about a month ago, I bought a new pack of hair rubber bands. And in the middle of the night, I was thinking about how many I had lost already.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like hard on myself.
Uh-huh.
And I realized like my nose was like one of those like constant drips. And so I couldn't sleep for 2 nights.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of things. But in the middle of the night, I was like, hang on a second. These things are $5. I'm
Mhm.
always at Target. Like, what is the inconvenience? Who the hell cares? I don't know where they go. I don't need to think about where they go. Why am I spending time on this?
Mhm.
And I realized, like, for my whole life, that has been a goal to not have to buy hair rubber bands all that often. I mean, just so ridiculous.
That I love that you can recall that story. And there's part of me that wonders if it goes even deeper that and then that. Well, here, okay, let me set up a little bit more. I love what you said about our culture, our society, like busy means good, busy means valuable. Um, and I also think that we as special needs moms have all the more reason to stay busy. And that is when we stop and slow down, what can catch up to us is our feelings. And there's a lot of feelings that we have, I find. I mean, and I feel like I could speak for everybody, whether you are aware of it or not. So for me, when I slow down, I have to acknowledge, I don't have to. When I slow down, I'm able to feel the feelings that I don't tend to on the, I don't address
Yeah.
all day, every day. For me, that looks like a lot of fear, like a lot of fear, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, a lot of anger. I'm actually a lot better at anger than most any other feeling. It's my
Hmm.
go-to. But what is not is for me is sad. Sad is one of those ones where I really have had to work for years on allowing and on creating a space for me to feel those feelings. And I wanted so that's what kind of looping it back to your hair ties is I don't know, right? Like I'm not saying this is or isn't exactly what's going on, but it reminds me of a story I have that's unrelated. It's not about hair ties, it's about a windshield. And I was perseverating over how clean this windshield was, like
Uh-huh.
in the middle of a Target shopping center. And it occurred to me in that moment that it's not about the windshield. I needed to control something in my life.
Hmm.
My life was so out of control that I needed something that I could have be um, controlled. So
Yeah.
wonder if your hair ties are more about, it's less about the $5 because I'm, like you said, it's not a big deal.
Right.
And maybe more about how can I keep things in order in my
Yeah.
life?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think so, and that probably goes back to my accident when
Mm,
so basically like the way that I was raised was, well, what are you going to do about it? Right?
mm,
Like
hmm.
you got hurt, now let's fix it. I
Yeah,
always say
figure
I'm
out
a
how to get
fixer.
better.
Yeah, like you're physically hurt, it's your bones. So how are we going to fix your bones? And I mean, that served me very, very, very well. I got I am as physically healthy as you could possibly be. And I am very proud at how I have continued to literally control my physical health. But I mean, to your point, I'm such a control freak that I oftentimes, like before we hit record, I think it was before we hit record, you were saying sometimes when you're anxious you can't breathe. I've gone to the
Yeah.
ER for that 3 times. Um, but I also um do like if my back starts to hurt or if I start some new kind of exercise, my sternum will hurt and I get like this permanent stitch in my side. I get costochondritis, like literally inflammation in between my ribs, because I hold myself in such a way that like your back is bad, don't forget, and I like
Punch it
hug
all in. Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
And it causes chest pain. So I've gone to the cardiologist to rule out that kind of stuff. Like I I am literally every minute of every day trying to like keep myself upright, which is so ridiculous because I'm not gonna nothing physically is going to unupright me, right? Like my back is healthy. Um so I think and I mean, I probably was a control freak to begin with. I had a very, very nurturing, healthy childhood. I'm very blessed that way. But I think I just probably am, type A that
Hmm.
I want
Hmm.
to control
Yeah.
things. And so what I've kind of taught myself It's like, okay, so when I did divorce work, I was really good at, like, I know the Enneagram and I know all the personality types of, like, Myers-Briggs and that kind of stuff. And I was really good at helping people. They would say, well, I think my husband's narcissistic or my wife or whatever. And I would say, okay, well, like, here's what you have to do. You can't feed into that because that's a person that likes your reaction. They're doing things to get a reaction out of you. So you want to win and you want to get the last word. This takes a little bit more time, but a good way to do there's an Instagram account I love about this, but basically the way to
Mhm.
beat a narcissist is to, like, not care and to make sure that they know that you don't care. And so you just gotta wait them out and, like, not feed their
Mhm.
adrenals. Um, and so I've kind of applied the same thing with myself where, like, I'm like, "I'm gonna beat the stress by kind of challenging myself on all of my big, pushes to get stuff done, right? So, my kid goes to Emory University, which is really expensive, and, my first inclination, like, we thought we had saved plenty for college, and then Emory is just perfect from a swimming standpoint, from an academic standpoint, it's just amazing. So we were like, "We're gonna figure this out," and my first inclination was, "I'm gonna grind, like, I can do that."
Uh-huh.
Like,
Huh.
"Okay, divorce work, here I come." And then I was like, "I need a side hustle," and I'm talking to all these attorneys about, like, "Let me come work for you. I've got this idea, I've got this idea." I came up with some really good ideas.
Bet you did.
Um, but, like, then I thought, "Hang on a second, like, let's give ourselves permission to think about this from a different standpoint." And the solution was so simple, so stress-free, so easy, like, literally a dollar sign thing where my husband was like, "What about if we do this?" And I was like, "Sweet," right?
Mhm.
But I have to stop and give myself permission all the time because my
What
nature is to go in
Yeah.
the other direction.
Yeah, so when I kinda give you a hard time, in terms of, like, how we do one thing is how we do everything, it's like your, winning strategy has been to grind and has been to push and has been to go fast and do all of the things. And so you've learned over those last couple of years to, and this is in the coaching space, what we call a breakthrough. It's like you now have access to a new way of being, which is that where you're calling it permission. Um, but I think it's like slowing down and you're accessing a new way of being, which if we had time to break it all down, we would kind of look at all the different facets of it. But it's creating a new result in your life. So well done. And I'm really sad to say we have to wrap up because I have my coaching community call in 2 minutes. And so there was one thing I wanted to say to wrap up. What was it? I don't remember, but this was a really fun conversation. And so clearly just a start to the conversation. We maybe didn't get to totally like finish it up, but
Thank you.
such is the
Thank you for
life of
helping
two
me.
special needs mom.
I hope that helps. I hope that helps other people in both of our communities. So,
Yeah.
Kara is over at the Special Needs Mom podcast, karariska.com, right?
Yeah, well, I think actually this is the thing I wanted to mention is that we didn't get to go into it, but we don't get to this work is not done alone. So you did not go and sit in the corner of your office and figure this out in that big, brilliant, beautiful head of yours. We do this work in community and we need each other more than ever. And so, as you were saying, I am available at karariska.com and I support moms in community because that's what over the years I've realized works. And so we bring coaching together with community. I call it Pathway to Peace Coaching Community. So please check it out. And then for my audience listening to this, please check Ashley out. And you're at ashleybarlow.com, correct?
We rebranded. It's the collaborative
Thank
IEP.com.
you.
And I have a membership that also is a community of like-minded, mainly parents that want to support special education and advocacy for kids that are on IEPs and 504 plans.
Amazing. Okay, well, I will have all the information in the links on my
Likewise.
show notes, and I'm sure they'll do the same. So it was
Okay.
so good to see you.
You're the
Sorry to have
best.
to run. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kara. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.